I'll wait a few minutes see if people start coming in. So setting up anyway, so let's see how many people come in. Who do we have? I saw somebody. I'm just looking for something, so give me a second. I guess there's enough time waiting for people to show up. I'll just get started. Uh, you guys hear me okay? Alright, let's get started. Alright, let's get going since we are ready to go. So, let's get this show on the road. So, a couple of things. Let's go back to our design for a second. Hey, this is the upgraded one already. Yeah, this is it. Maybe go back to 11. Okay, so basically, there's two things I want to show on this drawing, and then I'll move on to the design changes happened in the last 2 days. So the reason I want to show this is to explain how the enclosure is going to work. I think I explained this the first day. Is if you notice that I sort of kept the all the mechanics on this side of the extrusion, even the motors on this side of extrusion, keeping this area and this area clear. And I explained the first day the reason why I did that is because that slot in here and this slot in here is where I'm actually gonna add in the panels for the side walls. Now, if you don't need an enclosure, like I won't need an enclosure for my use, you can actually go with a 30-30 in the corner and it'll still mount the same way. You just don't have this extra corner pieces here for the extrusion. Um, that was a pretty hard, fast rule. I was keeping myself kind of constrained in that because I didn't like the fact that some of the enclosure walls mount on the outside extrusion. It just didn't look right. This one at least it makes it look like a window in the picture frame, so that you can actually slot them into these grooves. So I kind of kept that as well. And one of the difficulty I thought I would have in the beginning was how do I get this cross beam here and have one continuous panel? As you can see, like right now, this area here is you could actually get a one continuous panel in there, and it'll enclose top to bottom. So the idea is that you have 4 panels, right? Or sorry, 3 panels, one for the left, one for the back, and one for the right side, to enclose the 3 sides of the printer, and then you will put one big piece on top for the top of the enclosure, and one on the bottom. The front is going to be a little unique. Is that we have 2 options. Either we make a sliding door which goes in this groove but slides upward, so that it's kind of like the dumbwaiter that you open up, or you can actually have magnetic attachments on these 2 sides here, and you would sort of put the panel on it, and then you have little handles that you take off, and it's held on by magnetic forces. That would work too, but basically the idea is that the front is going to be where the opening is, and you sort of have to play around with how you want to enclose the front. Personally, if I was to enclose it, I would use the magnetic panel on the front because it's easy to remove, and you put on the side. You can actually have it fully open if you needed to on the front, or you can have it the panel on. I don't like dealing with hinges and stuff like that because hinges you open up and you have this heavy door hanging in it, or either that or you have to build a frame for it, or if you have just plexi, then over time the hinges on the plexi is going to crack and then you end up with a broken door. So the easiest way to do it really is to use magnetic door, and we'll kind of get into that design later when we get to that stage. I haven't really came up with how long these 4 vertical memory has to be because it depended on the Z platform. I mean, the top is pretty much set. This is going to be the area, and I found that there's enough room here for it should be enough room here for the extruder to move around and still have the bolt to come out in a reasonable manner. So I think the top is pretty much set. It's just the how tall the bottom legs has to be to support the 420/500, depending on how long we get the lathe screw, the Z platform to come down. So, and this is the older style rod mount. This basically is we weren't sure how long to make this, how low to make the rod mount. So we sort of left it at that while we were test fitting. So we had to make some revisions for that. So I'll kind of show you the revision. So this is the revised edition of that design. What we ended up having to do, let me just get this out of the way, was lower that rod mount by 18 millimeters, so that it would clear the bottom, almost clear the bottom of this extrusion here. The reason for that is I'll bring back the spider and I'll hide this one so you can see better. Yeah, there you go. So the reason for that is we had to lower this rod so that this spider is physically lower by 18 millimeters. This is where the pot's cooling fan actually mounts onto this spider, and you could. I'm gonna try to get a good angle here. You can see that it just clears the bottom of this extrusion. When that rod mount was 18 millimeter higher, this whole spider was 18 millimeter higher, and this fan mount was directly here, where the fan would hit the side of the extrusion. So right now, by lowering 18 millimeter, I was able to put the fan, the parts cooling fan, in this general area, so it blows down towards the part here. And because this, let me hide the bed too, I guess, so I get a better view. So this surface is physically lower than this one. So let's see if I can show that. Okay, let's do this. This surface and this surface, 2 millimeter lower. So it's actually 2 millimeter lower than the bottom of this extrusion. So any fan could protrude into this space. This space is normally dead space anyway. So you can actually protrude into that space. And I think this is you can put a 50 millimeter fan sideways and have a duct blow down on the part. This is one of those E3D mounts for the Ultimaker that I found on Thingiverse. So it's not perfect. It doesn't, like the notch here doesn't really fit the E3D, but it's just here to give you an idea of what it's going to look like and how far down it's actually going to hang, right? So basically, the problem we have is that the cross rods prevent you from mounting the E3D in the middle of the cross rods. So either you have to offset it to this corner, or the back two corners. Usually is one of these two corners. Now, I don't really like this mount that much. Probably end up redesigning one myself, but I will end up putting the E3D on this side because that'll give me space in the back and in the side for cooling fan. So basically, I'm thinking is that I'll have one cooling fan from the left to the right and then one from the back to the front, and then I'll keep the orientation of the heat break fan here, but off to the side here, because we would have enough space that way to do all that maneuvering. The trying to remember what other changes we made. I think we talked about this change last time. It's basically I made the belt holder beefier so that it would have an extra tooth of engagement on there. So that was the change that we talked about last time. Now we get a full, like with the rails and with the new pulleys. Now we're getting a full 420 by 420 ish travel. I started to lay out how I want the bring these all back. So I started laying out how I would use the 12 millimeter rods and the lead screw to lift this platform. Haven't really came up with a solution yet. I know we had looked at using a 2040 as the how to put it, a frame for the platform. I'm debating that right now, mainly because of the weight and whether or not I need a 2040 on the bottom of that. Today's Wednesday. I think I'll probably by the weekend. I should have just figured out by the weekend. But first thing I want to do is figure out how to mount this aluminum plate to the side extrusion first. Then from the side extrusion, I will work my way to the 12 millimeter smooth rods, which one would dictate how I would position the lead screw. Right now, you could tell these are extra long because I'm not sure exactly where we end up with the travel, so I might have to lengthen these 4 corner legs to get the 420 that we need. Because if you look at it from the side profile, you can tell that we already down a good 200 like from here to the top of here is probably a good 200 millimeter already, just for the XY gantry and the fact that the E3D kind of lowers down to take up some space. So if that's the case, then to get 400, we're going to have to get at least a 600 length extrusion here. So and then I only need a cross beam here for to hold the smooth rod. So let's see how it goes, because I think um, it being the 420 by 420, there's no way I'm going to be able to use a single cantilever on from the back like the Ultimaker does, because Ultimaker basically is only held on the back, and they have a kind of like a extended platform that comes out and is cantilevered so that it only moves on the back up and down. But the problem is that with, I think I calculated the weight of this plate to be 7 pounds. Having 7 pounds on that cantilever is not going to work. So we're going to have to support it on both ends. So there's going to be 2 rods on this side and probably 1 rod on the right side, because we remember we had talked about this, is that if you go with 4s, means like 2 rods on one side and 2 rods on the other, you cannot balance that. You can't balance 4 things. So you kind of want 3 so that you can easily balance the weight. That the one on the right was basically just going to be a follower, whereas the 2 on the right, 2 on the left is going to be the main guides, right? So we don't have to play around with that once I figure out how to actually get the plate to work. One of the things I want to do this week is basically go to the metal shop that I found an address for. The review on Google has been pretty good. It's saying it's a small shop run by 2 brothers. I'm gonna go there to see if they can actually make this plate, like source it and basically deck and perimeter like I talked about before, and what the cost is gonna be. If the cost is reasonable and I was able to get talk them into a deal, maybe then I'll be able to supply these plates. I found that it is kind of hard to for some people to source it, so I will do see if I can source this plate, as well as getting a custom heater, because the 420 by 420 is an odd size, so most likely it's going to be 400, maybe 380. If we do 380 by 380, that gives us a 20 millimeter perimeter around that we can mount the 2020 extrusion onto, so that we could support the plate. So probably end up just going up to about 380 on 360 on the silicone heater. You don't really have to go edge to edge, because basically the silicone heater is going to heat the whole plate. So as long as you get a good coverage on the plate, we should be fine. What I was going to show here. So I showed this one where we kind of added the 18 millimeter downward here to bring this rod down 18 millimeter to clear the parts cooling fan. This is, I think there was a question about the probe. That's the thing. This thing doesn't really support a probe, so that's the other thing I have to kind of work is use this as the idea, a starting point, so that will fit the E3D and the probe in there somehow. I was thinking I'd get away with not dealing with this, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like I have to kind of spend the time on it. So kind of we revise the schedule a bit. So what I want to do is finalize the XY, because right now we're close. We're like 80-90% done on the XY. I mean, in Fusion 360 it looks fine. I have to get the right parts ordered. Once I get the XY correctly modeled and physically prototype working, then finish off the Z. So basically the XYZ movement is going to work. We can send it out to basically send it out to the alpha guys to get some feedback on setting it up, setting up the firmware, getting the movement and stuff like that. Then in the meantime, I'll work on the spider and getting the extruder and all that other stuff worked out. Because there's no point going to extruder and all that other stuff if the XYZ is not panned out. So that's probably the plan, is to go with finalize XYZ, get all the parts ordered, start building the frames, and then getting the plate, the aluminum plate, the silicon heater in, the firmware working, everything heating up, whatever it is. Then by that time, it should buy me enough time to finish off the spider, or we go with the Ultimaker one, like I mentioned before, which is the Ocean block. We go with that. I mean, it is a proven system, so it's not E3D. I mean, if we go E3D, we're gonna have to deal with this. So um, let's just see how it goes. Like I said, I want to finalize the XY. So while I'm on the subject of talk about the ordering the parts. So what happened was um, I had jumped the gun sort of. I went in and ordered I guess the rails and the carriages and stuff like that before the redesign. So we had a redesign, and so before the redesign, sorry, I ordered 400 and 500 millimeter rails and 495 and 595 rods. So I could use the 495 rods because the new design still uses that. The 400 rail is too short, 500 rail is too long. I think it worked out to for 420. It worked out to 456 millimeter rail I need. So the 400 is too short, 500 is too long. Right about 50% more and less. So um, they don't take returns on cut rails. That's less than half a meter. So 500 they consider less than half a meter. So they won't take it back. The carriages are reusable. The carriages are the same. The rail is different, right? So yeah, I was kind of contemplating what the heck to do with the extra rail. So decided to come up with the bastard edition of the Alpha 420. So what that means is, let's see, I think this is the one. Yeah. So what that means is that I'm going to reuse the part as is. So this rail here, the long rail, is using 500 millimeter rail. The short rail, I guess this would be the Y in this case, is the short rail, and that's 400. So basically, this is a 358 by 458 XY, and whatever length, whatever height that we decide to go with for the Z. So there'll be two of these because I have two sets of rails. So they already spoken for. I'm going to offer these up, and I was going to offer them up, but they were spoken for already. So they are going to get alpha tested the way it is, 358 by 458. It is wider than deep, which some people would be able to use. So I figured that instead of going to waste, it's going to kind of send it out the way it is. It would still prove the idea, right? Because it would still work the same way. The dynamics are the same, so it would still prove the XY gantry, like the crosswalk gantry idea. So why bother cutting stuff and returning stuff if you could just reuse it? The only thing we have to do is because um, we are at, I think this is 5. I had it here 539. So this is 539. So I had a 595 rod bought. So cut some off that 595 rod. This is a 439 rod. So the other rod was 495. So I cut about 60 millimeter off of that as well. These are aluminum rods that I bought from IGES for this test, so they should be pretty easy to put on the lathe and just like spin it and cut them. So I don't anticipate a problem cutting those. So that means that number one, I won't waste anything. Number two is that I won't delay the first 2 or 3 alphas from doing any work, because this will definitely go out and be reused, right? So that's there's only going to be 2 unless you're going to go and order those 400, 500 millimeter rails yourself, but you know this is a 2-off, so there's only 2 of these ever going to be made by me. So let's talk about the IGES stuff I got. So um, so this was the original sample rail I got. This is the 13mm rail. Then this is the 15mm rail. You can tell that physically they're a lot. Let me just bring it up. I know. You guys could tell me this. This, right? There you go. So you can tell that this is the 13. This is the 15. So it's quite a bit bigger in terms of the width. I wish it would focus. It's too shiny. I think it won't focus on this too. But you can tell like it's considerably wider than. So I anticipate that this profile is going to work a lot better than the 13. So I'm glad I kind of went with the 13. Cost is about the same. This was the 500 that. Yeah, this is the 500. So this is the 500 rail that is going to go on the Bastard one. Comparison of the I got the wrong characters. I had to return these and get the right ones, but these are the 13mm characters. These are the 15mm. You can tell they are taller and wider than. Because this is not a good angle over here. Yeah, you can tell that they're taller and wider. Quite a bit. You can tell like the height wise quite a bit difference too. The difference between these two is this is the TWE, which has the adjustments I showed you guys before. This is the TW. So the TW, number one, is not black, which is what I wanted, and but it's not adjustable either. So I'm returning these to. I guess I got 8 of them, so gonna return those to IGES and get them to swap them for TWE so that they're adjustable. Then that's that. The 12mm rod for the Z. Yeah, that's a 12mm rod for the Z. As a comparison to that's an 8mm. There you go. 8mm and 12mm. Believe it or not, this short 8mm is heavier than this. I can't even get it on the shot. This is heavier than this. So, kind of glad I went with the aluminum rod. So, they were pretty nice. They did get dinged up a little bit from shipping. Solid rod, solid aluminum rod. So weight's pretty good on it. So, kind of glad I went with the IGES rods. Haven't decided on whether or not I'm going to use these for the 10mm cross rods either. So I have to kind of go with try it out, see what happens from there. What else did I get from IGES? I think that's it from IGES. So let's see if I where's my knife? Give me a second. Do I have on my knife? Oh, there we go. So I'm gonna do some unboxing here. I got some stuff in the mail. And while I do this, any questions? Flex. Yeah, that's one concern I had about using using the aluminum. But the thing is that I remember last time I talked about the steel rod. The steel rod is going to be a little bit. Oh, that's my dad's flash lantern. What was I gonna say? The problem with the steel rod is, yeah, it doesn't flex when you do this, but the problem is that the weight of it will cause it to sag a little or flex a little. So I'm hoping that the aluminum rod, if we're not putting too much weight on it, the weight of the rod itself is not going to really have too much impact on the flex. That's really kind of have to deal with it. Um, I'm gonna ask them if they could send me a hollow one. So from what I understand is that the hollow one is actually gonna have less flex than solid one. So I'm gonna have to do tests on either one. Like kind of by test I mean like just actually use it and see which one um, which one is gonna flex and which one is not. Um, I guess I missed a question there. Will the bed be able to heat evenly that big? Um, it should. What's the problem is that like if you're thinking about comparing it to let's say a PCB based heater, yeah, you might have a problem at 400. But the thing is that the a silicon heater heats up pretty well, and because it's a mat, it actually should heat up pretty evenly. And the plate itself is going to be at least a quarter inch, so um, it should be pretty good, I think. So, oh, my dad's stuff again. So, my dad got a new boat. Oh, by the way, he's feeling better. Um, not still not really eating all that well, but he's doing better. Um, getting more rest. I think it'll be a little while before he's 100%, but he's doing well. Just in case you guys are wondering, did they come back with the engineering analysis about the rods? So they had a whole bunch of questions for me on the rod situation. So um, what they wanted to know is like what's the travel speed of the spider on the rods? What's the duty cycle? How far they move? What's the repeat? Like on one section, what's the repeatability of the not repeatability the short movements? How often is short movement? So what's the ratio of short movement versus long movements? And the weight of the spider. So I have all the other stuff. I kind of have to sort of get the info, and I can't really get the info until I start building it. So it's kind of like a chicken and egg problem, right? So I guess I could take a gander at guessing at what those numbers going to be, and then sort of go with that guesstimation. Um, but I'd rather just go and sort of build those two bastard ones because I already got the parts of them anyway, and then kind of go from there using that to sort of extrapolate from that um, to extrapolate from that into the big printer. So um, oh, what the heck? All this stuff is my dad's. I don't have any stuff that comes in today. Just so you know, my dad also orders a lot of stuff from AliExpress, and he uses my account to buy them. So all the stuff comes in under my name, and I have no idea what's his and what's mine until he actually gets here. And then half the time it's like usually his stuff and not mine. Should be careful with this knife. Oh, cool. Nice. At least something that's mine. Steppers. So these are the short steppers I was showing you guys before. That was 35 bucks for 5 of these. So comes with um, the detachable plug. They look pretty good. I mean, like I don't know if I told you guys the story that one of the printers, like the one up, that piece of shit printer. I actually still have to like she left with the money, right? Like whoever that founder was, she took my money and never sent me the printer. And then when I finally bitched about it, she sent me this pile of crap. And the 4 points on that motor, that on those motors that she sent me, they were in a trapezoid. They weren't not even square like this. At least this is cut square. I couldn't use any of the parts on the printer. I sent it all back, and then they wouldn't. They went out of business. So yeah, I lost like 150, 200 bucks there. So these are pretty good. The the action's pretty good on this, and let me just double check. This the motor mount see if it works okay. Yeah, this would work. Well, this would work perfect. Um, yeah, so guess it looks sort of like the picture. I think I had it. Yeah, I had it working in a picture like that, where like the connector is facing down. So there was a question about why the connector is facing down instead of up or sideways. Because at the after the motor mount, the bottom here, there's a on the pulley mount, there's a end stop switch. So the idea is that you run those wires into the harness with the end stop switch and then run it out the side. So that's why it's facing downwards. But yeah, a package of five steppers, neatly packaged. The wiring is there. It's pretty good. I mean, for 35 bucks shipped, you really can't go wrong with these. So I'm gonna try to give these a try. Actually, just put them on the controller and move them around, make sure they all work. That's one thing you have to do when you get new motors in. You're not gonna use right away. Is put them on a controller and move them and make sure that they actually work before your time runs out. Because if time runs out, you can't get them replaced, right? That one is 3D Hub's order. It's like 26 hours. It's still printing. It's some kind of cat and running dangerously low on this white filament. Let's see this for you guys. So not sure it's actually gonna make it. Um, yeah. So these were the 400. So yeah, 400 millimeter um, rails. So it's not too short and 500 too long. So we're gonna make the bastard edition out of them. What else can cover? Um, yeah, I guess let's go. I'm curious. Let me just go. Let's go see what Scott had said about my post. I'll go check before I show you guys. He kicked me out, dude. See? That is funny. I'll confirm this guy. So if anybody else is left in that group, I think Jason's left in that group. If he switch back. So, in case you guys can't read that, it basically says we couldn't find anything of the Haribo edition proves the i3 MK2 model 3D printer only. So, so basically now he just that guy is even worse than Haribo because at least with the I guess he took my firing shot and then just kind of went with that, right? So I guess now you guys know. At least with Wolfgang, he's he's not at the point where he was going to kick me out of that group. As soon as I posted that thing, call him on it. Be interesting. Let me do some housekeeping here. I wonder if there's a way to ban somebody from GitHub. Let me just respond to this guy. Okay, I want to deal with that guy later, but yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what to do at this point, right? So, like, I guess just kind of have to live with it, right? Like, live and learn, I guess. They're gonna steal the idea. Um, what can I do? I mean, Gotta learn to let go. So I'm letting go. This is me letting go. What else can we talk about? Yeah, I was expecting the extruders soon, but I haven't. No, not the extruder, the hot ends, the Cyclops hot ends. I haven't seen those. I'm not sure where they are. I mean, they should be here by now. The other parts I ordered afterwards, they came already, so I'm not sure why those didn't come. So um, it's kind of interesting. Let's see. And there was a lot of dead space because I'm checking some stuff out. Um, let's just bring this back. I'll minimize this because we're not going to talk about that for now. Let's just kind of go with this. So, I think it was this one. Robotic, yeah. So, um, I'm thinking about going with this particular lead screw slash Lima 17 combination. It's $50 a piece. It's a little pricey. It's $67. I'm trying to see if I can find another one, but it's 500 millimeter length, and it's the right step thing. So, um, and the amperage is not too bad. So I'm thinking is going with this one. He does have a shorter one. I think he has like a 460, but it's the wrong. It's the 8x12. So 8x8. I think I probably could get him to um, do a one off because he does do it. He just replaces the threaded rod. So but I think this is the one I'm going to go with. Is the 500 millimeter um, 8x8 and for the Z. So that we'll have guesstimation. It'd be about 420, 450 travel because I have to compensate for the bearing and space for the mount. So you're not gonna get 500 travel on a 500 mil lead screw because you have other parts that need clearing. So I think we were aiming for 420. If we get a little bit more than that, we're happy. But if 420 is going to be minimum, we might be at about 450. So a pair of these are shipped to Canada. That looks like it's $134. So I'm gonna try to see if they get better deal somewhere else, and then go for those. Um, the Basumi order will go out tomorrow. So that because now I finalized the basket design, so I'll be able to just go and order the Misumi, the XY anyway, and then I'll be overconfident about the Z and go with 600 or 650. I think maybe 650. I guess I should really work on that. Whether it's 600, 650, and order the Z as well. Then I could get the whole frame kind of assembled and put it on the side here so you guys can see how big it is, like to see whether or not you have room for it. Right? Yeah. So I think that's it. I mean, it is again coming up to an hour. It's 15 minutes. Um, yeah, hang on. Let's find it now. So this was at ah crap. Go up here. Yep, there you go. So this is the spider that was shown on that model. Um, the I try to fit the E3D in here. It doesn't work. The notch is in the wrong spot. So I'm thinking he's either for the V5 or something like that, or the knockoff. If the guy had shown a knockoff on it, and basically what he does is he puts the E3D notch on there, and this band is the only thing keeping it in place. So I don't really like that design, mainly because um, you only held on by one strap and one nut trap. So like your entire hot end is resting there, and then um, the other half of this contraption here is basically like that, and that's the fan. So it is nice. He split the print to two pieces so that this print's flat. There's a little bit bridging problem there, but it's just in the middle of the fan shroud, so you're not really gonna infect it anyway. The design is pretty good. Is that I have to kind of fix that mount. And if I'm going to do that, I might as well just go ahead and just redraw the whole thing anyway. Like it is a nice mount, but this doesn't work for me. So I'll have to kind of play with that and see what happens from there. Um, Printed PTG of prints pretty good, but again, like the Kendall rod, I should be able to fit the bushing in there because there's enough wiggle space. So I also got those bushing as well. So I'm gonna try that. See what happens. Um, yeah. So I think I'm gonna end it there. I mean, there's not much more to say today. I'll try Saturday for a to get everything ready for Saturday with the Z and see if I can actually show some parts of it working on on the design on Z. But right now, because I've been away from work for 3 days, I'm doing a lot of catch up work at my day job. So I may not have as much time to think about this as I wanted to. Um, but hopefully, we'll be back on track by the end of the week, by the weekend. Then I can start showing um, some of the design work for the Z. Because right now, if you think about it, XY is 90% done. Z just started. I think it'd be a week. Then we have something working for Z. That's pretty good. XYZ moving, then going back and dealing with the spider. I think that's still we have pretty good time frame for end of the month for alpha. So might be a few days late, but we're good. So I think once I sort out the XY issue and then I send it up to Pat so he can test out the firmware and then I can actually send the XY parts out to the alpha people. They can print it and start testing with the XY. Then the Z comes later. Um, I think with these lead screws, what I'll do is I get them and then I'll resend them out to you guys so that we get a break on the pricing. Instead of everybody ordering and waiting for it, I'll order them and then I'll send them out for the alpha guys, and then we'll work out the cost later. It's looking pretty good. I mean, our aim was under. Um, yeah, I'm thinking too because I would. I'm American, so I will celebrate July 4th with you guys. Um, I never really felt that I celebrated July 1st, which is um, the Canadian version of the national holiday. Um, so, I always celebrate July 4th, by the way. What was I going to say? Um, so far, the cost, I think we are pretty good shape for this class of printer. I mean, there's going to be some feedback. I don't want to call it bitching and moaning, but like there's gonna be some feedback on how much this thing's gonna cost. Remember that your closest comparison is gonna be a G-Max or a Real 3D N plus one that has less build volume than this one, and they're all over $3,000. I'm coming in at 1,500. I think that's still a pretty good estimation at the price range, and um, that's probably a little bit more or less than that for fully enclosed. You're not going to get that with a commercial bought printer that at that price range. So like if you wanted something a little bit more robust, I think this is probably not going to find it because we've been so many versions of this, and like you guys all laugh at me when I say that like I use all I guess I'm assuming components. It's because they work, and like we'll try to stick with those stuff that work. Um, the motors, I mean, motors are all made in China these days anyway. As long as you get a good supplier, you should be able to get away with the good motors. The controller, like it's the smoothie it is expensive. I mean, 100, $120. That's about what you're gonna be paying for that. it is expensive, but it's 32-bit, right? So um, then if we stick with E3D either for the Volcano or E3D V6, then you guys know those are reliable. So you go with clones in there, but I wouldn't bother. Like I think just go with a good E3D Volcano. That's pretty much my suggestion. Is go with a Volcano because um, at 420, even at 0.6 or 0.8 on a regular E3D V6, if you could feed it fast enough, and if the heat block can keep up, you're still going to be like days of printing on a 420 by 420 printer. I think for the Volcano and like 0.8 and up nozzle printing big items, that's what the printer is really going to be geared for. So the idea is going to be like I mentioned last stream is you keep your Haribo 3030 for your small to medium parts. Then you use the Haribo Cube or Haribo 420, whatever you want to call it nowadays. Let's call it a 420. So Haribo 420 is going to be for your medium to large parts that are all multiple large parts. So if you want to print like multiple cats like this one, then you're okay. You're going to print multiple cats. And the frame is going to be sturdy enough that I'm going to make a screw hole on top that you're going to put like a few 2.2 kilo or 3 kilo spools up there because you're going to need it. I was actually even contemplating going with 3.0 filament. I know a lot of you guys have wanted 1.75 filament, but 3.0 filament or 2.8 filament makes sense if you start feeding Volcano, because you have to jam a whole lot of material into the hot end to keep up with this thing. So there's a reason why like Lose Bot and those guys are still on 3.0, right? It's because you get to a certain limit on 1.75. Number one is the smallest, more flex, and then if you're going to use Bolden really likes 3.0 or 2.9 or 2.8, whatever it is, and it works. So I guess sort of leaving that hot end stuff and extruder stuff at the end of the project makes sense now that prove the idea works with the movement first before we kind of spend too much time on it. Because if we had to kind of backtrack and go back to the moving crane idea, most of the parts are reusable. So you might be having one extra rail that you can't use, no big deal. Everything else should be reusable. So I think we're good with that. Um, the let's go with these. Let's go be optimistic about that it's going to work. I'm pretty sure it's going to work. Let's go with that. The moving crane, that is actually kind of crazy down the road idea is with I think Patrick wanted a 1 meter cube. I have no idea why he wanted 1 meter cube. The only way you get 1 meter cube is going to be a moving crane. So not starting that until we have at least 30, 40 of these Haribo 420s in a while, like Haribo 3030. Then I'll start on the meter. So I think John was talking about Haribo exception, where each printer is going to print the one before it. It'd be kind of funny if it happens, because you could physically fit with a 420 by 420 by 420 cube. You could actually fit the whole Haribo inside the Haribo 420, and 420 being about 600 cube. If you make a 1 meter printer, yeah, you could fit the 600 cube inside the 1 meter printer. So in theory, all three of them would be able to print the one below it. Yeah, so I'm waiting for for I guess to get back to me on returning the carriages for the linear rails. Gonna finish up the design for the Z and order the Masumi extrusions this weekend and have them next week. Then I'll cross ship them to the two happy lucky contestants who's gonna actually start on the alpha. Nameplates. So again, thanks to Donald, he's actually making all new nameplates for the Alpha team. He's gonna send me a new one because he feels that Ryan's feedback was pretty good on the edges here where the screw hole's too close to the edge, so it shows the T-nut. He's gonna redo me a new one. I'm gonna actually still use this one and put it on the wall. I really like these because you know what, like nobody else is gonna have them. And my number 0 is gonna be here. So thanks again, Donald. I think that's it. I'm not gonna linger on. Again, we're good at hitting 1 hour mark. Saturday, I'm gonna try 11 o'clock Saturday, just in case anybody wants to know. 11 to 11:30, depending on when I get set up. Um, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning. I guess that gives me 2.5 days to try to rough sketch at least some of the Z platform stuff. Hopefully my dad will feel better. Then I don't really worry too much about him, and then actually get to work on it. Um, and it's been pretty good on 3D Hub. I haven't really gotten any orders. I'm not complaining about not getting orders because I needed the time to work on this stuff anyway. So it's been pretty quiet. So I think quiet time is good because it gives me time to work on this stuff. Um, I still need to get that third camera. So if anybody sees a good deal on 930E, I need a third camera for that third box, the blank box you guys see. So I kind of want to have one for each printer, and then one for either the FaceTime camera or the web or the display capture. So if you see a good deal on the 930E, let me know. I'll pick another one up. All right. I guess I will see you guys on chat.